Hello everybody, welcome back to Simple Art for Adults. My name's Erin and today we are doing something that we should have done a long time ago. We are going to work on our color along here in Nice Little Town 5. I am really excited to get back into this. At the time I was just, I don't know, I just wasn't feeling it. I wasn't feeling the picture, but now that I've gotten back into coloring and I've finished a few things, I really want to work on this. So this is where we got. We're doing this with Polychromos, and I have the colors written down here in my trusty Rocket book, the ones that we've used so far anyway. And if you guys are curious about what a Rocket book is and how it works, I have a review of it on my channel if you'd like to find it. It's a really cool little tool. You write in it and then you just wipe it off with a wet cloth and write on it again, so it's reusable. And you have to use a special let's see, this is the friction pen from Pilot, and I have them in a, hold it where you can see it. I have them in a bunch of different colors. I have friction highlighters I can use in my book too, if I can get it where you can see it. Oh, which way? This way. So yeah, it's really neat. So the highlighters, and then you just wipe it off when you're done with it. But you have to be careful because the highlighters will kind of take off some of the ink. Okay, so we've done the mushroom tops, we've done the mushroom bodies, so now we're going to move on to the leaves and the bushes. Let me prop my book up over here in case I need it. Before we get started, what we're going to do these leaves down here. We're going to do the leaves, let's see, which ones do we want to do? These leaves and these bushes, like all the bushes. And then we're going to do these leaves up here, the same color as this grass, and these leaves back here. So for the first set of leaves, we are going to be using light green, which is number 171 in the Polychromos. We are going to be using next, that's the light. Medium will be leaf green, which is 112 in the Polychromos. And the dark will be 266 in the Polychromos. And I'm not 100% certain that green is going to be dark enough, but we're going to give it a try, and if we have to, we can always go back and grab a darker green. But let's get through these first few colors and see what we've got. I'm sharpening everything all up here, and I'm also going to pull out, I don't think I need them yet, but I have all my charts, my swatch chart, my combinations chart, and then my practice leaves and practice flowers. I haven't done any for Polychromos yet, but I plan to. I plan to keep like all kinds of colorful things in this little binder. So we're going to put this right up here. I'm going to zoom you guys in, and we will start, actually let's start up here at the top with this bush here. We will get busy on that. Let me move it where you guys are going to be able to see it. Hopefully that will be good. Let's get a little bit closer. Alright, so how has everybody been? Man, it has been raining non-stop since I made that video the other day. It just hasn't stopped yet. So if it starts thundering again, we do have some thunder that's probably going to come through tonight. I'm just going to keep recording right through the thunder. I'm not going to let it bother me. So I'm taking my light green. I'm putting on my coloring glove before I end up smearing something. Taking my light green and putting it all over this little bush here. And then I'm going to take my leaf green, which is a little bit darker, and I'm going to go down right alongside this little hill here. Just to try to darken it up because there's going to be a shadow there. We're going to put a little dark right here on the side. And I've tried to work with these shadows, guys, and I've really tried to get it to where the shadows are more behind my hand than they are to the side of it, and I don't think it's worked a whole lot, but I do have a couple other options to try. It's just going to require me rearranging some things, but that's okay. I couldn't get it done tonight, but I'll try it for the next video. And I'm just going to put the leaf green everywhere except for like up next to the ridges so that we get some nice contrast there. So up toward the top of the bushes, I'm not going to put any color. Any of this color, I should say. And then I'm going to come back in with permanent green, which is the darkest. And I'm going to put it all down along the edges. Now we picked a color palette for this. And unfortunately, I don't have a tablet or phone other than the one I'm recording on. So I can't pull it down and show it to you right now. I should have thought about that and asked to borrow my kid's tablet or something. But I will throw up a picture right here, just a quick image. And to find it, you go to Pinterest. You go to my Pinterest, which is Simple Art for Adults. And then you go into the Earth Tones board. And then you should be able to find it there. So here's the picture. And that should make it easier for you to find it if you're curious about the palette that we chose. So now I'm just going back in like I did with the others. I'm going to go back in and just try to get all these colors blended together, layer after layer. And the trick with this, the Create Space paper actually makes the layering and blending with the Polychromos pretty simple. It's a good starting place, and I really genuinely do not like this paper very much. It's got the weirdest tooth I have ever seen in my entire life. But it's not terrible. It's really not that bad. Especially with the Polychromos, because they stay so sharp and you can get down in those little ridges. Alright, so that is done. So now let's move on. We'll do this bush that's back here behind this little part of the house. I'm going to follow the same thing. We're going to start with our lightest color, which is the light green. It's so nice to just be able to sit down and color. It's been so crazy the last few days. So, yeah, my daughter broke her iPhone, so we had to get that fixed, which was madness. But the coolest thing happened. So we went to this little, like a mom and pop shop type place here in the city where I live. We took her phone to go get it fixed. Okay, this is the leaf green, and I'm going to take it and put it, like, everywhere that, like, this overlaps, there's going to be probably a shadow. We can assume there's going to be a little bit of shadow. So I'm going to make sure that I get it there first. So I'm going to go around all this. And then I'm going to do the same thing as before. I'm going to bring it up everywhere except for up to the edge where the little, where the tops of the bushes are. So if you can follow along here with me. This one's going to be a little bit trickier, but not too much. Not too much. We're going to go around. We're going to go around. Just like that. So anyway, we took her to go get her iPhone fixed to this little mom and pop shop. And so she calls and asks them how much it's going to be. And they told her it would be $100. And it would take them 1 hour. And so we're kind of skeptical. We're like, and it's an iPhone 7 Plus. So we're like, who on earth still keeps these things in stock? Because a lot of people, you know, they're all about the newest generation phones. So number one, we were surprised that they had the screen in stock. And number two, we were surprised that it was going to be $100 and it was going to be done in an hour. Lo and behold, it was. And they even put a tempered glass screen protector on there for her for free, and they gave her like a little, kind of like an OtterBox knockoff, so she wouldn't break it again, for free. And I mean, this place, just like, they've got my business for life. That's how you do it. That is how you take care of your customers. So now we have the permanent green, and I'm putting this, once again, in the same places that we first put the leaf green, because I'm trying to build up some of that contrast for the shadows. And I'm putting it also in some of the places where we put the leaf green, just to build up some color. Now if you guys can see how I did that, this is going to be kind of hard to explain. This one isn't up high enough, so I'm going to bring it up just a little bit more. Okay, so if you see like all the little ridges here, like right here and right here and right here, my goal was to leave a little bit of very, very light color at the top of each one of those, and to put the darkest color further away from that, as far away as I could. And that's going to help us tell like different parts of the little bush from the other. And it just gives it a little bit more interest, I think. So now I'm going back in, now that I have all my colors in there, I'm going back in with my light green, and I'm just filling it all in and blending it all out. And I do think that when we finish this, we probably will have to come back in with a darker green just to get a little bit more contrast, but we'll finish this up first. Okay, so we already have our light green down here, so I'm going to come back in with leaf green, repeat the process. We're going to first put in our little bit of a shadow here. come around this way, and then back over the top of the little mushroom, and then right where the two bushes overlap. So this one here is going to be pretty dark because it's pretty much all in shadow. So I'm just going to go ahead and color that in completely in the leaf green. And then I'm going to bring that leaf green out everywhere except for right along the edge of the bush. Right along the outer edge. And that way I'll make that look a little different. So now I'm going to take permanent green and we're going to add the darker color just right in the same places. And I'm going to try to leave just a little tiny bit there where I don't put the permanent green. But I don't think you're going to be able to tell, so it really doesn't make any difference. But we're going to find out. And then I'm going to come down along this side. Put in the shadows again. Pull it up just a tiny little bit. Because these colors are so similar, I'm not really even having to go in with the medium color and blend them back out again. So we're kind of skipping that step, which is fine. I don't have an issue with that at all. And then that one's finished. These are some nice bright colors. They're going to look pretty good. Okay, so we have more bushes. We have some down here. So actually let's start with this one here next to the house first. Keeping a nice sharp point on my pencil because it really helps me get down inside that tooth. Covers up as much of that weird create space white space as I can. Oh man, words are going to be hard for Erin today. Get inside the little, what do you call that thing, guys? It's a rug smacker. That's what it is. That's I don't know what it's called. But for purposes of illustration and for the purposes of this color along, we're going to call it a rug smacker. That's what it is. Alright, so the light green is down. So now we need leaf green again. And I'm going to start it right above where the top of the other bush bunch thing starts. And I'm just going to pull it up, I don't know, about 3/4 of the way, but I'm going to lighten my pressure as I move up toward the top of that. Just like that. And I'm going to come down here to the bottom. Now, okay, so here's something else to think about if you want to, and this isn't necessary, but just something else to keep in mind. When you're doing shadows and you're trying to decide what's going to be in shadow and what's going to be in light, something else that you really need to take into consideration is how far away one object is from another. Okay, so if you look at this picture, let me zoom this back out. I can't really illustrate it like this, so let's zoom back out just a little. Alright, so if we look at this image, what we see is we have this bush back here up against the house, and then we have the mouse with the rug whacker cleaning the rug. Okay, so when you look at this bush, you see her little rug whacker, and you may be tempted to go in and put some shadows in behind that. But, see how far away she is from the house? That's a pretty good distance. If you take all the sizes and proportions into account, she's pretty far away, and there's not a whole lot of shadow that's going to be cast on this bush from this tool in her hand. So we're not going to put any shadows in that case. And that's something that you can keep in mind for all of your coloring pages. And it's not something that you're going to notice every time. I don't notice it every time, but you know, it may help some of you just to know that that is a thing to consider. It's something that I don't think about all that often myself. But since we're looking at it here, we might as well bring it up. Alright, zoom back in on the bush. And I'm going to do the same here as I have done for the others. I'm going to put it everywhere except for like the leading edge. But because this bush is bigger, I gotta have to be careful about how dark I put the leaf green, or else it'll be more difficult to blend. The bigger the space, the more difficult a harsh line is going to be to blend out. You don't notice it as much with smaller spaces, but you do with the bigger ones. Now I'm just using like a medium pressure and filling the rest of it in here. Right, so we're going to bring it down this way. And I purposely didn't leave all of this white because we're going to leave this one white. So if you have a bunch that are piled on top of each other like that and you're trying to use that kind of technique for whatever, just keep in mind that you still need to have some kind of a divider between similar objects that are right beside each other. If you color them all the same color, sometimes you lose that, you get to a point where you can't really differentiate between them anymore. So let's say I have two grapes right next to each other, and I color both of the grapes the exact same color. You're not going to have, you're not going to be able to tell where one grape starts and the other grape stops, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. Okay, now I'm coming in with permanent green, and I'm just going to put a little bit of this here and there in the darker areas. So we're going to put some down here. And I'm using a kind of firm pressure for this one because I'm not putting very much of it. This is just going to help us distinguish one piece from another piece, that's all. It'll serve as like a miniature shadow. Right here. Alright, and then in this case I am going to come back in. Actually, no, I missed a spot. We want to come down here too. I think I may have just heard thunder, guys. Ah, oh no. That's fine. We'll color in the thunder. It's relaxing. So I'm going to come back down with my leaf green and blend that permanent green up just a little bit so I can avoid any harsh lines that I may have created right there. Same here. Just going to use kind of a hard pressure and then gradually release my pressure as I move away. And that's going to help get rid of the harsh lines I made, and it's going to make it look like, I don't know, like a shadow with higher contrast, I guess. I'm not going for realism here. I'm just going for, you know, making sure that you guys can see what it is. Alright, so now finally I'm going to take my light green again. I'm going to go back over everything and pull it down into the other two colors. Now with the lighter colors, I can't really notice the tooth of the paper showing through too much, so I'm not incredibly worried about going back in with the blender pencil like I did with the first few parts, because when we did the mushrooms, those were pretty dark, and the little bits of white paper really showed through there, and they still do. You can still see them. There's not really much of anything that I can do to get rid of it completely, other than maybe using Gamsol, but you know, you can if you want to, but I'm not going to. I'm not that concerned about it. Alright, so now we're going to skip over back here, and we are going to color that bush. Let's see. Oh, we missed part of the tree. I'm going to have to come back in here and do, looks like part of the mushroom where it's like growing in. So from here, this little area, and this, looks like it's going to be part of this. So we're going to have to come back and fix that. I tell you guys what, I will fix that off camera, and you guys can do it whenever you feel like it. The colors that we used on that for this, it was green gold, cinnamon, burnt ochre, and Indian red from light to dark. So you can get those colors out, and you can put your knowledge to the test. Get in there and get it done. Put some shadows in it. They've already drawn in some of the shadows for you. So it's about 7:30 on Thursday evening, which is going to be my designated YouTube day, more than likely. I probably should have done this during the day, but I didn't really have the time to get it done. Next time I hope to get it done during the day though, so I can maybe have it up for you by evening. Okay. So after I get my light green in, I'm going to come back in with leaf green. And this is going to be close to the mushroom house. So I am going to put a nice little coat of it right up against that root. It looks like a root. mushroom root. That's weird. You'd think it can't be the tree root because the tree's over here unless it grows up and around, which I suppose is possible. And then we're going to put some down around here because these bushes are right beside the tree. Okay. I'm going to put a little right here and a little right here. And then back this way. First I'm dividing everything off, and then I'll come back and add a little bit more color. There we go. So now I have everything kind of where I want it. So I'm going to lightly pull my color up almost to the very edge. And that'll help us avoid those lines that we don't like. I hope I didn't just shake the camera everywhere. Alright, now we're going to come over here and do this side. I don't have a whole lot to do here because we're going to leave, again, we're going to leave these little areas like this. We're going to leave them kind of lighter. Because that's what gives them their character. I wouldn't say makes them look more realistic because, you know, we're not trying to make them look realistic. We're trying to make them look cute and happy. Which is all we want to do. Alright, so now I'm going to come in with permanent green and we're going to follow along and darken up the shadowy areas. And that's really all I want to do with this color is just make the shadowy areas a little bit darker than they are. And we, like I said, I think I'm going to come back in with a darker color still and do this again. Because I don't think that this one's going to give us enough contrast. I'll be able to tell a little better once we get the rest of the image done. And get some of the stuff around it colored. Then it'll kind of make more sense. Okay, now I'm going to come right in here. And right in here. And now I'm using the firm pressure because I want to put down a lot of that color. And we're going to come back and blend it out with the leaf green. So you don't want to like push so hard you smash the paper, but you do want to put it in there pretty good so you make sure you get a nice noticeable layer of it. Alright, so now I'm going to take leaf green and I'm going to go back over where I put the permanent green just to blend it back out. And I'm only going over the area where I put the permanent green. Okay, and then we're going to come back around this way. And if you still notice harsh lines, you just very, very lightly color in those little small circles until you build up enough color that that line is hidden. Just like so. And then I will take my light green and we're going to come back and fill in all the little tops. And we're going to use a hard pressure so we can blend everything together as we do so. And these are really easy techniques to learn and apply to things. This is stuff that I picked up just, just watching YouTube, experimenting. There's nothing incredibly hard about any of these techniques. It's just a matter of trial and error and practice. And that's how I did it. And of course, I never claim to be the best colorist in the world. I don't claim to be better than anybody else. I just like to show you guys my way of doing things. And that way, if you like my way, you can do it the way I do it. If you don't like my way, you can do it the way you do it or someone else does it. And over time, you'll probably do exactly what I ended up doing, which was watching a bunch of different color tubers, trying things on my own, and then eventually putting together like my own kind of coloring style that's something of a mishmash of everything that I've watched and everything that I try and the techniques and the media that I enjoy. And I think that's kind of what makes this hobby so unique and fun, is that we are all individuals that do things differently. And this one I think I am going to get my colorless blender because it is looking a little bit rough. Mostly just because those are bigger areas. So I'm just taking my colorless blender now that I have everything in, and I'm just kind of moving the color around, pushing it down into the tooth of the paper, which will help blend it out and hide that white space. Alright, so when I'm doing videos, and they're going to be longer videos, the ones that are going to be longer videos, my goal is to try to take a break like every half an hour, because until I actually manage to invest in a camcorder, my phone automatically cuts off the video and starts a new one at 4 gigabytes. Which is a pain in the butt, but it's built into the actual hardware of the phone, I guess, and I'm not sure, or the software of the phone, and I'm not sure how to make it stop doing that. Apparently there isn't a way without basically hacking into your phone, which is something I'm just not going to do. So, a camcorder is on my things I need to get list. But until then, what we're going to do is I'm just going to take breaks every so often. And one of those is going to come right now. And then when I get back, we're going to do these bushes over here, just up against the side. And then we've got these leaves that are, oh, right over here. These leaves that are down here in this corner, we're going to do those too. Alright guys, if you will bear with me for just one moment, I will be right back. Alright everybody, I am back, and it was brought to my attention while I was away, taking a break, resetting my video, that my son is playing video games rather rambunctiously. So if you've heard a teenage child screaming in the background, I'm sorry. I went and asked him to please tone it down just a little bit, because I don't even want to know what he's screaming at people. It's hard telling. Better get his video gaming in while he can though, because if it starts lightning too much, he's gonna have to turn it off. Alright, so that was the light green. So we're just doing the same process here again, guys. Light green first, then leaf green. Everywhere but the little tops. And the edges. So our color palette was a lot of really muted colors, except for there was kind of like a turquoise in there, or an aqua. So I thought that in order to complement those a little bit, we would toss in a couple of brighter colors, and this green is going to be one of those. I like these greens together. Alright, and now I'm going to take my permanent green, and we're going to put that in the areas where it's going to be the very darkest, which is where these little bushes tuck in behind each other, and then down along the ground. And yes, I'm a book turner. I'm trying really hard not to turn it too much, so I don't make you guys all dizzy, but I am a book turner. I'm trying to be an unapologetic book turner. Alright, so there we got the permanent green. Let me zoom you guys back in. You're kind of far away. There we go. Now I'm coming back in with leaf green, going over the permanent green to blend it out. Using a kind of hard pressure here to get it all nice and blended out where there's no harsh lines. And we'll pull it up. Same here. Going over it and then pull it up a little. And same here. Alright. Actually, I need to put some more of the leaf green up a little higher on this one, I think. Got it a little too pale in places. There, that's better. Now, back in with the light green and just blend everything out and together. And I use hard pressure for this to help push all that color together and get it down inside the tooth of this paper. we go. It looks nice. I like that. Get this last bottom one done. And then I'll probably take the blender to this one too. I think it's because my pencils aren't all that sharp. I can see the tooth of the paper. But that's okay. If I take my blender to it, it'll make it better. Not perfect, but better. Make it to where I can tolerate it anyway. So, you guys watch Julie's Passion for Coloring. Some of you do. I'm going to guess that some of you do. And I absolutely love watching her channel. She colors like amazing. And she's like, you can tell that she's done it for so long that she doesn't really even have to think about it. She just goes in there with her pencils, knocks it all out in like 1 or 2 layers, and she's done. And she colors in these books a lot. She's like a huge fan of nice little town. And I am too. They're adorable little books. But I wonder if she's actually coloring in the book or if she's reprinted it, because she uses Prismacolors. And her pencils don't look, like when she does it, it doesn't look that grainy look that you get with these books. She doesn't get that, which is interesting. Alright, so now we're going to do these leaves down here. And we're going to do them in the same colors. I'm going to use a little bit different technique, and I'll show you. A lot of you guys liked the way that I did the leaves, and I'm doing a picture in Sagar Oak Sagner, and I shared my work in progress, and I got some comments on the leaves about the technique and the colors. So I'm just going to kind of show you how I do those leaves. It's really simple. It's really a basic beginner's way to do leaves, and anybody can do it, guys. Anybody can do it, and we're going to prove that right here. You guys can do it. If you want to do it. You don't have to do it. I'm sure your leaves probably look better than mine if you did it your own way. But like I said, if you're curious to learn how I do things, that's why you're all here. My way is not necessarily the right way. There are probably 100 right ways to do this. Actually, you know what? I'm going to put it to you a different way. There is no wrong way to color. At all. Never is, never has been, and never will be. There's just not. And for every person who picks up a pencil or a marker or a crayon, there's just one more way to get it done. Everybody is an individual. We are all unique. And we all color differently, and that's fine. That is not something, if you color differently than everybody else, that is not something to be ashamed of. That is something to be proud of. So you should be embracing that and not trying to run away from it and make your pictures, you know, look like somebody else's. Now, you could find elements of somebody else's picture that you really like. So let's say that you really like my leaves and you want to know how I did it. Well, by all means, I'll show you how I do my leaves, and you can, you know, do it exactly like I did, or you can do it sort of like how I did, or you can do it some other way completely. So before I get too carried away, the light green first. Now I'm taking leaf green and I'm going around the edges of the leaf all the way around, and I'm very, very lightly pulling it out toward the center, not too far, because we're going to put light green back in the center. But anyway, the point here is that there is no wrong way to do anything. And I think that I've seen a lot of stuff in the community lately where people are like, I've seen people basically come down on others and say, oh, well, you know, that's a childish way to do it. That's not realistic. That's, you should do better than this. Well, you know, if you want to do better, if you want to learn how to do better, then by all means learn how to do better. But I don't feel like anybody should feel less than adequate as a colorist because another colorist says, well, that doesn't look realistic enough, or well, you should have done it this way. I don't feel like that's a fair judgment, because here's the thing. Not all of us want things to look realistic, and for me, that's the fun of coloring. This is a fantasy world. Clearly, there aren't little mice beating rugs living in mushrooms. I mean, there could be, and we just have never seen them, but I doubt it. So I don't really care if my picture isn't realistic. As a matter of fact, the more fantasy-like and whimsical it looks, the happier I will be with it. and the more adorable I'm gonna think it is. So don't knock yourself too hard if you aren't like the most realistic colorists in the world, because I'm not either, and there aren't very many people out there who are, because we prefer to color things that just aren't realistic. So always keep that in mind, and don't ever feel bad. Don't ever feel like you should feel bad because your leaf wasn't realistic enough, or because you didn't blend the exact two perfect colors together to make, you know, the perfect color number 3. Don't ever feel bad. Don't ever feel like, you know, you're inadequate, or you should just give it up, or, you know, you need to seriously put some effort into learning how to do it right, because there is no doing it right. However you do it is right. Period. End of story. That is all I have to say about that. If you browse through, if you like go over to the Coloring Connection, which just reached 4,000 members, by the way. Oh my gosh, 4,000 members. Congratulations to the Coloring Connection for their 4,000 members. And they are doing a giveaway. So if you want to win some coloring books or a gift card, depending on where in the world you live, go on over there, be a member, find the post. They're asking you to answer a really simple question to be entered. So I would suggest hurrying on over and getting it done. And they're cute coloring books too. Wait till you see them. They're really adorable. But if you go over to a group like that and you scroll through everybody's pictures, and you see, the longer that you do this, the more that you're going to start coming across pictures that you've already colored that somebody else has done too. And you're going to like look at it and you're going to think, oh man, that is a really cool way to do that picture. I'm glad this person thought, I'm really glad that I saw this today. This kind of makes my day. And then you show them the way you colored it. And that person thinks, oh my goodness, well that's really cool. I wish I would have thought to do element A like you did. That is how we learn. That is the wonderful thing about this hobby, is that no two colored pictures are exactly the same. They never are. And if they all were, I don't think any of us would have as much fun as we have doing it. You know what I mean? So I feel like any effort to try to get everybody's pictures to look exactly the same, it's kind of sad, really. I don't want that to happen. Now, a color along is one thing. When you do something like this, like if you're following along with me and coloring your leaves exactly like I'm coloring my leaves in the exact same colors, you know, for a lot of us, that's a learning process. And if you're actually doing this, it's because you want to. It's not because I came and told you, hey, you need to color better. Pick up a pencil and do what I do. That's, you know, that's not how this goes. So there's a difference. And I think that just based on some of the comments that I've seen and some of the things that I've heard, and I feel like it's just, I just wanted to mention that. Please don't ever feel inferior. Please don't ever feel like you're less of a colorist if your stuff isn't realistic, or if you know, mix two colors that didn't turn out exactly the way you thought they would. Don't panic. Don't feel guilty and don't feel bad. If you want to learn, by all means, there are some awesome resources out there. But if you are enjoying yourself just the way it is, don't even worry about it. Just keep enjoying yourself. Those two turned out pretty nice. I like those. So we're going to move on and we're going to do the rest in the same way. So basically all I'm doing is light and then medium out about 1/3 of the way, and then dark just on the very edges, and then blend it all together. So I'll do this next one here. And this right here, you see where these two leaves meet? And because we have the darkest color on the edges here, that's what I was talking about when you don't have enough contrast and your objects just kind of start to blend together. That's a perfect example. So I think what we will do is eventually we're going to come back in here with a darker color and we're going to go back over everything. And we're going to put just a little bit more contrast in there. And that'll really make our leaves pop. But we're only going to put it where shadows are. This way it'll give us some of that separation that we need to make it. We want to make it obvious that you're looking at one leaf in front of another leaf. And the way it is right now, it's kind of hard to tell. So fortunately, it's just as easy as grabbing a really nice dark green or a nice deep greenish brown, or even in this case, like a gray, and just putting some shadow in. So that's what we will do. Okay, so you see how far I pulled that leaf green out? Alright, so now I'm going to go in with the permanent green. And I'm basically, it's just going to be like an outline. Oh, now I definitely heard a rumble. It's way off in the distance still, though, so I don't have anything to worry about. And somebody's got some really squeaky brakes. I can hear those, too. So I think we'll get all of our greenery done today. And then I'm going to go back to the palette after this video. I'm going to go back to the palette and pull out another one of the colors. I think we're going to do, like, I don't know how to explain it. It's like either like a turquoise or like a peacock blue, or a little bit of both, I think. I think there's two blues. So we're going to figure out a way to incorporate those, because a lot of the colors that we're going to have in here are really natural colors with the mushrooms, and then we've got, of course, rocks and ground and sky. So we're not going to have a whole lot of really bright color. So I wanted to bring some of that in with these leaves and bushes. So we've got some of that bright color brought in with these. And I think I'm also going to bring in like the teals and stuff. And we're going to do those like over here on the rug, on the curtains up in the windows. I don't know, I'll probably find a couple other places to put it so it'll pop a little bit. Alright, so now that I have my medium and dark color and kind of blended them back in toward the center, I'm going to take my leaf green once again, and with a nice hard, not leaf green, light green once again, and with a nice hard pressure, I'm just going to go back over everything. And I'll blend it all out together, and then it'll leave us with this nice, slightly lighter middle area. And then if I take my blender pencil and go in a circular motion with about a medium pressure, you don't really have to push very hard. Medium pressure, I can get all of the white space covered, and that makes me happy. And like I said in the other videos, if you guys don't mind the white space, then you can skip this stuff all you want. That's fine with me. Alright, so we are now on the last three. So I'm going to go ahead with my leaf green, and I'm going to actually sharpen it a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and do all three, because it's a little bit quicker that way. Let me try to recenter this for you guys just a little. Where are we going to put it? Right there. That's good. So generally what I do is, these are all different sizes. So I'm going to start out with like a small amount. Just like here on these edges. And then I'll bring it out just a little bit more once I realize how much of the lighter part that I want. Because this leaf is just a little bit skinnier, I think, than a couple of the other ones were. So that's okay. We just have to account for that. Yep. And then this one, do the same thing. Pull this one out just a little bit further because this is a shorter and squatter little leaf. And then this one over here. Everybody always asks me, don't you get so tired of coloring leaves and flowers? Nope, I never get tired of coloring leaves and flowers, ever. They're my favorite things to color. Although, I have been watching a lot of KP colors lately, and I kind of, because I didn't watch a lot of YouTube for a long time. And one of the things that really draws me to KP colors is that she loves coloring her food. I mean, she is all about coloring food. And I have watched her color food so much that now I want to color food. So I'm going to need to, like, ask KP if she can give me a recommendation of a good book that's easy to get, that has some really fun food to color in it. Because, yeah, that's what I want to do, is color some food. Maybe I'll have a new love and I'll stop coloring leaves and flowers all the time. Okay, so now I'm going to take permanent green, which is the darkest of the greens, and we're just going to go back right along the edges. I'm going to pull it out, but just a little bit, not very much, because I don't want to cover up that leaf green, which I almost did with the last leaf because I was too busy talking and not paying attention to what I was doing. Story of my life. Pull it out just a little. Up at the top. Okay, so now one more time I'm going to come back in with the leaf green, and I'm just going to kind of go over that and try to blend it out a little more. So we're going to go over the color that you just put down very, very lightly right along the edge to kind of blend out that harsh line that we created, or that I created. You probably didn't create a harsh line. I did, though. Okay, and now that that's finished, I'm going to take my light green again, and I'm going to use a nice hard pressure and meld everything together. And then last but most certainly not least, I'm going to take my blender pencil, cover up all the white space. It's a good thing I don't color and create space books exclusively. I would literally have to buy stock in Prismacolor blenders. I really would. Okay. So if you guys have commented on any of the other videos in the last few days, I haven't had a lot of chance today to respond to your comments. I plan to do that a little later tonight, though. So if that's the case, I'm not ignoring you, not at all. I just have been crazy busy today, and I wanted to make sure I got this video up before I sat down and did anything else. Well, not necessarily up, but finished and recorded. And in the process of exporting, because my phone software that I use to edit out my videos has been getting hung on the export process lately. And I don't know why. Okay. Which basically means it'll get like, I don't know, 3/4 of the way done with the process of, you know, saving all the elements and stuff that I add to it, all the little transitions and effects. And then it'll decide it's not moving anymore, it's just done. So I have to start all over again, which annoys me. But the things you do for YouTube, right? And then back in with the light green, and then back in with the blender. So I can't decide what to do for the next color along once we finish this one. I like really have no idea. I really want to go back and reach for my Prismacolors, but I think you guys are probably really tired of Prismacolors with me. So I don't know. If you have any ideas, suggestions, it would have to be stuff that I already have, though, because I can't buy anything else until probably, I don't know, the first week of next month. So if you guys have suggestions with things that I already have in my possession, I would be more than happy to hear them out. I won't promise that I'm going to do it, but, you know, you never know. Your suggestion may be the one that I pick. It's got to sound fun to me, too. And I always enjoy coloring with my Prismacolors. Always. There is never a time I don't enjoy them. Alright, and then leaf green. Or that was leaf green. This is light green. Too many L greens here. So the grass that's back in the background back there, we're going to do that a different green. Those we're going to try to get closer. I don't think there were any greens in our palette, but I'm going to look again just to be sure. If there was, it was like a kind of like a pale sage color. Alright, so let me zoom this out and kind of show you where we are and what I'm thinking. My zoomer doesn't want to work. Alright, this is good enough. Okay, so this is going to be one of our bright elements. Then we're going to put some teal in here, which is going to be another bright element. And I think that's going to be kind of the extent of the bright. I don't want to overdo it, because this red, like that we put in the center, the Indian red and whatnot, those stand out pretty good. So I really don't want to try to overwhelm those. But these little leaves that are in the back here, and then these ones up here on top of the mushroom, and the blades of grass that are behind the rock, those are all going to be the same color. I'm going to make those a different green. Then we're going to do these rocks here, like probably a blend of grays and browns. And probably what I'll do is try to carry a lot of those browns and grays over into the tree trunk, into the wood and the stuff that's up here. I'm not entirely certain. As far as the window frames and whatnot are concerned, I haven't decided if I want to go back and use the same colors that I used like on the tops of the mushrooms. I can't decide yet. I really can't. I'm thinking what I might do is like the ones that are on the body, I might do these in the red, and then this one up here I might switch and do this and this one. So we like alternate, but I don't know how that'll look. If not, it's going to be a blend of grays. So if you guys have any suggestions as to what you think would look best, do you want to alternate the colors and do the, like swap them, do the bottom color up here and the top color down here? Do you want to do grays? Do you want to do browns? What do you think is going to look good? Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go track down my Polychromos case, because I'm almost to the 30-minute mark again. So I'm going to go track down my Polychromos case, and I'm going to come up with a green that we can use to put some more contrast in here. Be right back. Alright, ladies and gentlemen and fellow colorists of all ages, I have come up with a plan. We now have 159 Hooker's Green, and I think that this is going to be dark enough to give us the shadow that we want. The worst case scenario, I'm just going to totally screw it up, but that's not going to happen. We'll fix it. We're going to start up here where it's going to be less noticeable. What I'm going to do is I've got my Hooker's Green sharpened to like a super duper fine point, really little, and I'm just going to come in here and very, very, very lightly circle it in. Now I may have to increase my pressure just a little because I've already used hard pressure over this. Oh, do you see what I mean though? Look at that. You see how that bush like instantly looks like it's separate from the one below it? And that's literally hardly any color whatsoever. I'll put a little back here. And I'm just lightly going over the same area. When I get down here where it's darker, I gradually pull it up just a little bit like that. And then we're going to come right over here, but I'm going to use a little lighter here. Not quite as dark. Alright, and then I'm going to take my medium color again, which is my leaf green, and I'm going to try to blend some of that out. And that'll help kind of make it stand out from the area below it. Yeah, that's the right one. Wanted to make sure I have my right blender pencil here. I've got purple on another one over here, so I didn't want to use the wrong one. I think that's going to work nicely, so let's go ahead and just do this on all the rest of them. So take it in just a really, really small amount. Everywhere where it comes into contact with another object. Sorry, I think I just shook the camera. My bad. I've got my phone plugged in because recording drains the battery and I don't want it to die. And then we'll put a little more right here. Just a little bit, not very much. And then we'll pull this out. Now see, I'm not going to put this everywhere, even though this is mostly in shadow. We don't really have to worry about that too much because it's noticeably darker. And the whole point of using this particular green is to separate objects from each other and make them be noticeably different objects, which we have accomplished very well, I think. And you guys probably aren't zoomed in enough. Let me go fix that. I keep forgetting how small some of these little elements really are. There you go. Alright, let's do this one, and you guys will probably be able to see it a little bit better. So I'm just taking a small amount in a very light hand. Okay, so now I'm going to come back up here, and once again, just a very, very small amount in a very light hand. And it's going to be tricky because you don't want to leave hard edges, but at the same time, you want to make sure it's dark enough that you get some contrast in there. And it's just crazy. And this is something I think I've been fascinated with this for a while now. It is absolutely crazy how much difference the tiniest little amount of color can make in something. It's just bonkers. See the difference? How it looks like a fluffier bush now? It's crazy. Wild and crazy. And I'll take my medium color and I'll blend it up just a little bit, just in case I did leave a harsh line. It won't be there anymore. Okay. So now we'll slide back over this way, and we'll get these ones. These won't be so bad. There's not much of it here. There we go. And I'm literally doing like a micro scumble. You know what scumbling is? It's where you move your pencil in like random directions, sort of like in small circles, but more like you just kind of move it quickly in all different directions. So I'm doing like a micro scumble here, trying to vary the direction my pencil's moving without applying hardly any pressure whatsoever. And I'm going to put just a little bit more right there so that it's obviously back behind that tree. And then I'm going to go back up here. And remember to come in and fix that root before the next video. Alright, and then again with my medium green, which is the leaf green, we're just going to blend some of that out. Remember here when you're doing this to just use the lightest hand possible, and rather than pushing harder for something like this, instead of pushing harder to get more color out of your pencil, go over it more times. Go over the same area a couple times until you get the value from your pencil that you want, that you're looking for. I'm trying to center this for you guys a little. Looks like an especially dark area there, so I'm going to make sure I make that noticeable. And I could put some down here along the ground, but I don't feel like it's necessary, so I'm not going to. Alright, and then leaf green. This is a nice color combination. I'm going to put this one in my book, I think, so I can remember it. Hard to believe I've never used this exact combination before, isn't it? Greens are like the pencils I use more than any other. I don't know if you guys can even see that. Let me slide it back over. Alright, so now for this one, when we get back here down here to these little leaves, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it where the leaves overlap each other, and I'm going to see what that looks like. And if it turns out that it's like too much and stands out too much, then I'll put some down at the bottom too. But we'll just see what happens. A lot of coloring, like I said, is just trial and error. It's just do something a little bit, see what it looks like, and if you like it. I have a tendency to overdo things when I color, like do too much of something. Like, oh, that white spot looks really nice, and then all of a sudden there's like a million white spots, and I have made a disaster. Yeah, that's me. And I'm gonna have to blend this back out some. And then right here. So remember, this is why I decided to go back and get the darker color in the first place, because we didn't have any real definition between these leaves, and it was hard to tell where one stopped and where another ended, because the colors are also similar. Got another little spot right here where they're overlapping, just like that. And I think that looks good. I think that really did a much better job of making the leaves look like separate, so you don't have to guess where the bottom of one is. But I am going to sharpen up my leaf green, and I'm going to get in there and blend that out just a tiny little bit. You may have to use a harder pressure when you're blending out with this medium color now, because there's already so many layers down, and we did use hard pressure earlier too, so. There, I think the leaves look plenty separated now. All right, let's zoom out, take a look. Well, I think it looks great so far. I'm really excited to pick some more colors for this too. And I can't decide how I want to do like the insides of the windows, because like some of the windows are open, some of them aren't. Some of them have curtains in them, so I don't know, should we do lights on, lights off? I don't know. I haven't decided. Obviously, we're not doing a night scene because the grass is way too bright for that. But we're going to do a daytime scene, and I haven't decided how to do the background, but probably save that one for last. It'll probably just be a simple pencil background. Alright guys, I do want to thank you very much for tuning in to part 4 of the Nice Little Town 5 color along. It has been a lot of fun to get this started again, and I know that I color slow, and this is probably going to have 40 parts before it's all said and done, but I'm enjoying it, and I hope you are too. If you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up, because that helps other people find it who may be interested in doing a color along like this one. If you haven't yet, please subscribe and go back and watch the other 3 videos in the series. Remember, those were recorded about a year ago, so a lot's changed between now and then, but it's the same picture, the same pencils, and it's a lot of fun. So if you do subscribe, ring the notification bell so that YouTube will tell you when there's new content available from my channel. And as always, you can look down in the description box below to find links to all the products you saw me use. The Polychromos Faber-Castell, or the Faber-Castell Polychromos pencils, the coloring book, the Nice Little Town 5, and I put a link to the coloring glove in the last video I did, but I'll put it up there again. The Tegal pencil sharpener that I'm absolutely in love with. I can get you guys a link to the Rocket book. This is the Rocket book Everlast. This thing is amazing. I love it. And then we've got friction pens, friction highlighters. So I'll put some links up to all this stuff for you guys, and if you're interested in any of it, you just go check it out. They are affiliate links, so I do earn a small commission for every purchase you make. You don't pay any more for the items you buy. It's just I get something like a referral bonus, which really helps the channel out. Alright guys, thank you so much for tuning in today. It's been so much fun. I'm really glad to be able to do this, and I will be back in a few days with yet another installment. Until then, happy coloring.